that is our segue in today's first story, which is Navy SEALs take down a team of hostage takers in Nigeria who had taken a farmer hostage for ransom, an American who was living overseas. So the news breaks on Sunday, I guess. Sunday morning, my time, would have been Saturday night, I think in U.S. time, or it would have been, Friday. Anyway, on the 31st, okay, Navy SEALs launched a daring raid into Nigeria to rescue a farmer by the name of, his name was, it escapes me right now at the moment. I'm terrible with names. I forgot the name of a guest on the show once live. So let's find the name. Nathan Walton. So Nathan Walton was living in Nigeria and he was farming. Okay, he was farming in Nigeria, living there with his wife and child, when he was approached by a gang of militants who demanded money. And when he didn't have any money, I guess he offered him $40. I guess they wanted more. They took him hostage and brought him to Nigeria, from Niger to Nigeria. Now, then the story goes that they had him held for ransom, and that Navy SEALs launched this raid to rescue him. And he was, let's see, to say when he was taken. So he was taken early Tuesday morning. So it had been less than a week. Now, so that was October 26th. So he was in Niger on October 26th, and they went in and rescued him from where he was being held in Niger. So the reason why I wanted to make this a big topic for today, and I haven't even started a clock yet, is because if there's one thing that we've covered on the show a lot, it's been Navy SEALs. We've had a bunch of Navy SEAL guests. We've had a bunch of Navy SEAL stories. We even had one last week about a SEAL who rescued some children who were drowning out in North Carolina. And I do love covering Navy stories. So I wanted to cover this one and spend a little time talking about why SEAL Team 6 and Navy SEALs were the right choice to take on the mission of rescuing Nathan Walton from this group of captors. And I wanted to give some backstory before I get into, this story. So Navy SEALs have executed many hostage rescue missions over the years. And you might know this gentleman, Ed Byers. Make sure I still got this up on the screen. Ed Byers, Senior Chief, United States Navy SEAL, received the Medal of Honor for actions in Afghanistan, where they went to go rescue a doctor who was held hostage. And while there, one of his teammates was killed, and then this story, this was in 2012, so this story went pretty quiet for a while. I don't think too many people really knew about this story until in 2017, when he was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Trump, and then he, let me make sure that's right. No, he was given the Medal of Honor by President Obama. So he was given the Medal of Honor by President Obama, and then he became a very well-known, popular figure. And I even saw his face and name on a sign out here in Okinawa at one of the malls out in town, advertising a military discount on their products. So it was 5% military discount at the mall in Okinawa, and it said something like, Ed Byers wants you to shop here. I'm sure he did not give his consent to that. I am fairly confident that he did not, but they were using it. So he's become kind of a very well-known public figure. So he was given the Medal of Honor for a hostage rescue mission. SEAL Team 6, who conducted this raid, was born out of the necessity of hostage rescue. So from reading this article on history.com, the History Channel's website, they explain how the Navy SEALs were born out of a failed mission to rescue hostages in Tehran, Iran, where then the government tasked Richard Marcinko, or Dick Marcinko, with forming SEAL Team 6 to specialize in these types of missions. And so he started SEAL Team 6, which at the time there were only two SEAL teams, SEAL Team 1 and SEAL Team 2, but they called it SEAL Team 6 so that counterintelligence would think that there were more special operations forces out there than there actually were. So right there, doing some psyops on them, okay? So SEAL Team 6 was born out of a need for highly trained operators to go and do missions like this. And they train for this. They train for this. They practice clearing buildings, running in, rescuing hostages, and taking out bad guys. And in this case, I believe the numbers were there were 6 enemy and 5 were killed. So 6 enemy, 5 were killed. 1 that you would call a squirter got away. So there was 1 squirter who got away, and 5 enemies were killed, and 0 Americans were hurt, and the hostage was successfully rescued. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Let me know any questions that you have or any comments on this story, or if you've heard about this story. I'll say, real quick, break from the SEAL stuff. If you are an American living overseas in a country where militants and militias run around unchecked, and you know that they're shaking down Americans, you know that they're taking Americans hostages, you know that they're selling them to terrorist groups for, higher bounties, and so that those groups can leverage the Americans against the United States. I think part of this is I don't want to have a big time foot in mouth moment here, but there's some negligence. If you take your child, okay, like this guy was living there with his wife and kid, according to the report. If you take your child to Nigeria in an unsafe environment and then something happens, it's not like this stuff's a big secret. It's not like it's a big secret to find out that there is a threat in this area, that you could be endangering yourself and your family. So the question is, why would you risk it? And I know that there's organizations out there who go and they do humanitarian missions. So there's like Doctors Without Borders. There's, religious missions out there who go and build schools and try to bring, spread Christianity. There are groups who go there and try to, clean up mines and provide a safe environment or safe food and water for villagers. And that's a noble cause. But there's major risk. Okay, these people are taken all the time. You don't even hear about it most of the time. They are taken and killed all the time. And if you're in a conflict zone, you could get shot, you could get mortared, you could get hit by an IED, and you're not a combatant. So there's very little that you have the right to do as far as existing there and having government backing and defending yourself. There's no, except for the fact that the United States government and its warfighters are willing to go fight and return you home, is a one-off. I don't know another nation that will go as far to protect its citizens as the United States. That's not to say no other country would do it, but I don't know. Name another country that would go as far to protect its citizens as the United States. And these people are going over there, completely voluntarily, no defense posture, and they're just leaving it in kind of the hands of God, so to speak. Let the winds of fate blow, that they're going to be okay. And to each their own. But you have to. I wouldn't count on getting rescued by Navy SEALs. Okay, if you're thinking about doing this, I would not count on getting rescued by Navy SEALs. And here's a story, unfortunately, that did not end so well. That is part of the this is what could happen to you if you go out there on your own. So this is worst case scenario. So you end up like Kayla Mueller, who was an American human rights activist and aid worker from Arizona. She was taken captive in August 2013 in Syria after leaving a Doctors Without Borders hospital. So Doctors Without Borders is an organization where doctors travel to these war-torn, third world regions and provide medical care to the citizens of those areas who desperately need it. I'm not saying that they don't need it. They desperately need it, but they put themselves at major risk, okay? So she was captured in Syria, and she was taken and held by ISIS. So ISIS, just in case anybody is wondering, does not treat women very well. So she was taken by ISIS. She was forced into marriage. She was tortured and raped for a long time. She was held for a long time. And here's the problem when you get taken. Here's the MO of these hostage takers. They take people and they keep them moving. Okay? They keep them moving from safe house to safe house. They don't leave them in one location, because then they'll be more likely to be found, because you have, Enemy has OPSEC also, right? So loose lip sync ships, it works for the enemy too. So you've got people who have intelligence and they report to, let's say, I'll just say Americans, but it could be like any counterintelligence, enemy counterintelligence. So local informants, local governments, Australian, Canadian, British militaries, all of, working in tandem to build intelligence packages, although not well enough a lot of times. So they could report where she was, but then if that intel is even 24 hours old, you could miss it because they'll move her around all the time. And when the United States is planning a mission like this, they're going to do a lot of planning beforehand. So they're going to do surveillance. So they're going to surveil locations that they think she might be held at, and they're going to try to figure out if the hostage, so in this case Kayla, is really there or not. So they're not going to do a mission until they have a really good reason to believe that that person is there. Then once they decide that that person is there, they have to plan the mission. So what country are you going into? Are you in cooperation with that country? Do you have permission to fly into their airspace? How are you going to fly in there? Are you going to fly in on helos? Are they going to do a parachute in and then land and patrol in? How are they going to conduct this mission? Then they have to, let's say that team who's doing that, whatever organization they're from, SEALs, Army, JSOC, whoever it is, they have to then get into position, which, it could be a same day type thing, I'm sure. But then they have to do that. And then they have to execute the mission. So you have to have weather. Weather has to be good enough for the planes to fly. You have to have, hopefully, preferably a night with low illumination. So not a lot of moonlight because they're going to be doing this at night. And there's so many factors, right? There's so many factors. And all that to say that it's all ruined if the hostage is moved. So Kayla was being moved often, and it was hard to find her. And at one point, they thought that they had found her, and I think that was it James Foley, her and James Foley being held together. So they tried to do a raid on where she was. It's in here somewhere. They tried to do a raid on where she was, but when they got there, the hostages were not there. They had been moved. And after the raid was done, they had found evidence of them being there because they had written on the walls some proof of life, or left their own proof of life. And I'm sure that there was other evidence that was not published that they found, but they didn't know where they had been taken to. So they had tried to conduct this raid, but they just missed it. They think within 24 hours. They think they missed them within 24 hours, and they would have been able to bring them home, or at least, gotten them out of the hands of ISIS. Unfortunately, they were not able to do that, and it was reported later, I think not long afterwards, after that Kayla was killed in an airstrike. And it's debated which government was responsible for the airstrike, but they had said that she had been killed by an airstrike, and then ISIS had then sent pictures of the body to the United States. So tragically, she was killed out there, and it's tragic because she was out there trying to help people, trying to be selfless, trying to be, I don't want to say this if it's not true, but following what she believed was her, mission. So let's see what it says here. So she was a Christian campus ministry, yeah. So on a mission for her faith, and she goes out there to be a humanitarian aid worker in Syria, where there was a true humanitarian crisis going on. And it resulted in her getting kidnapped, raped, forced to marry, tortured, and ultimately killed. And so I can't think of a worse fate, honestly. And my message to people is, if you or someone is considering going on these overseas missions as a civilian, to really consider the risk you're putting yourself at. And the fact that the SEALs were able to conduct this rescue mission is not a guarantee by any means. It's a culmination of good intelligence, good surveillance, good weather, people in the right place at the right time, and able to conduct this rescue. Now, interestingly, let me bring this back up. Interestingly, the group responsible for this attack is believed to also be the same group that, if you remember a couple years ago, there was a team of Green Berets operating in Africa when they were ambushed and they were killed. 4 Green Berets were killed, and videos went viral online because they had recovered a GoPro from the body of the Green Beret, one of the Green Berets, and they had published that footage online of them getting killed. And so, yeah, here 4 Green Berets and 5 Nigerians were killed. 8 Nigerians and 2 U.S. soldiers were wounded. Africa, what I'll say about Africa is it's the forgotten battleground. Maybe not even forgotten. Maybe Africa is not even the forgotten battleground. Nobody ever talks about Africa and U.S. involvement there. But there's major U.S. involvement in Africa. There's major U.S. involvement in the Pacific. And we never talk about it. But it's important to remember that we have troops fighting overseas. Like, I don't remember if anybody knew that there were people fighting in Africa when the Black Hawk Down mission happened, or if it came out afterwards. But every couple of years, you hear a big story out of Africa. SEALs shot on exfil when they're flying out of a mission, shot through, I believe, an Osprey, a V-22. I believe a V-22. SEALs shot guys involved in non-combat related incidents in Africa. You hear those stories, and Special Operations is out there, in Africa getting it done against a really, really brutal enemy. So I want to just say, good job to SEAL Team 6, built from the ground up to be a hostage, critical mission response unit, and they really answered the call on this day. So good on them. Good on the Navy SEALs. If you guys have any questions about Navy SEALs, the little I know about it from my experience in the Navy, I'm happy to share it with you. We also have a ton of episodes on the podcast at anywhere you listen to podcasts. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find the ScuttleButt Show. Just look it up. Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts at. Go ahead and listen to the ScuttleButt Show, as well as you can find the full episodes of this show on the podcast, uncut, unedited, unfiltered,